All right. Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. So, from our previous meeting, kita sempat discuss topik number 4 related to methods of forecasting ataupun Proforma financial statements. Okay, but I know towards the end tu kita agak rush nak finish up the topics. So perhaps maybe for the first, I don't know, half an hour macam tu, maybe we can revisit, okay, by trying another question related to Proforma financial statements before we move on with the other parts of topic number 4, which is cash budget. Okay, so give me 1 second. Okay, so this is what we discussed last week. We have 2 parts in topic number 4. So method of forecasting memang we dah discuss. Okay, but as I said, we finish it up with quite a rush masa tu. Let me see mana nak share. Okay, this one. Right, so this is another question related to Proforma financial statements. Okay, but I'm not sure whether you're aware or not. This paper, FIN420, kita ada last final was in December 2018. Okay, ni yang last final exam. And masa tu dia ada 5 soalan. Okay, but way before this, okay, kalau kita tengok tahun 2012, dia punya format lagi different because they have 6 questions. Masa tu yang you have to answer 5. So you have options before that. Okay, but once they started to have 5 questions macam ni, they most of the time they akan drop the topic of Proforma ni lah. So Proforma ni sepatutnya sekarang hanya ditest melalui test 1 or test 2 lah, selalunya test 1. Okay, even now with no final exam, memang kita test di dalam test. Kita test dalam test. We try to determine whether you understand or not by using it in the test. Okay, so that's why nak cari soalan for this Proforma is quite difficult, and we have to go back to earlier ataupun to more than 10 years ago. Ni 2020, ni dah berapa tahun, 9 years ago. Right, so this was from June 2012. Okay, and as you can see, dia punya format of question more or less the same. Okay, more or less the same. Give me 1 second. Okay, so as always, I have put the question on the left here. What you can see, so it's about Prince Corporation. So they give you the balance sheets for 2011. Okay, and the value here all in thousands. Okay, in thousands, and we have multiple items lah, as always. The assets, liabilities, and equity on this side. Okay, then they have some assumptions at the bottom. Okay, Prince Corporation 2011, so meaning the current year. Sales was 7.5 million. Okay, and in 2012, which is the forecasted year, this company expect the net profit margin of 5%. Okay, dividend of 225,000 and 20% increase in sales. Again, the question gave us the increment. Okay, because this is our starting point. We need to know this 20% first. Okay. The company was not, okay, this is an example I said, this company was not operating at full capacity. All external requirements are absorbed and reflected in notes paper. So this is another type of question that give you these assumptions. Okay, so prepare a Proforma balance sheet for 2012 using the percent of sales method, which is the Proforma. Okay, so let me highlight maybe a few information which is important. So this is current sales, 7.5 million. Current. So in order to find the new sales, meaning if to find the sales one, We need to increase 7.5 million by 20%. 7.5 million increased by 20%. We have 9 million. So our sales in 2012 expected to be 9 million. Okay, remember why we need the new sales? Because you need to forecast for the new retained earnings later using the formula. Okay, so we have the net profit margin, but we don't have the DPR, dividend payout ratio. But the question gave us dividend of 225 million. 225,000. So in order to find DPR, dividend payout ratio, we need to know the dividend given and also the net profit. So since net profit is not given, okay, so therefore we need to know what would be the net profit. So in this case, the forecasted sales was 9 million and the net profit margin is 5%. So from there we can know the net profit. Okay, so meaning 9 million we multiply with 5%. So you get 450,000. So DPR should be 225,000 divided by 450,000. So the dividend payout ratio is 50%. Okay, 50%. So I recap how I get this 450 because based on net profit margin, it will be net profit divided by sales. Okay, so net profit margin is 5%. Okay, 5%. Our sales expected would be 9 million. So to find net profit, simply multiply je lah net profit margin with the sales value to get the net profit. Okay, and again, this is from our ratio. We've learned this in ratio. Right, and the most important part also here, they said not operating at full capacity. So meaning our net fixed asset will remain constant. Okay, we only increase our fixed asset if it operates at full capacity. Since this is not operate at full capacity, the net fixed asset will remain constant. Okay, and lastly, all AFN, additional funds required ataupun additional funds needed, will be absorbed, okay, and reflected in notes payable. So meaning our FN will be transferred to notes payable. Okay, which is important. If you don't do this, again, you will not get the full marks kat sini lah. Okay, and the increment is 20%. Okay, so as always, once we know the increment of 20%, we're going to follow the sequence ataupun follow the sections of our balance sheet. So, but first, we're going to write the name of the company. I have to put the title first, Prince Corporation. Okay. Balance sheet. This is balance sheet lah, but you just follow the question lah. Kalau kat soalan tu tulis statement of financial position, you use statement of financial position. Okay, assets. But by the way, we are doing Proforma by the way. Sorry, jangan lupa tu perkataan Proforma balance sheet. Asset 31st December 2012. Okay, we are doing the Proforma for 2012. So we maintain the thousands as well. Okay, so the items gonna be the same as the question. Okay, it's gonna be the same. So meaning we start with cash. Okay, cash is 235,000 and increased by 20%. So it will be 270,000. Okay, thousands is here, so I don't put 000 at the back, but it's read as a 270,000. Next, we have Marketable Securities. So 1650 increased by 20%. We have 1980. Okay, 1980. Then we have account receivable. 375 increased by 20%. So we have 450,000. Okay, 450,000 for the account receivable. And our final current assets is inventory. So inventory also will increase by 20%. So we have 900,000. Okay, so for current assets, as I said last meeting, last seminar, we will increase regardless whatever the assumptions. Okay, how much? By the percentage of sales increment. Okay, so no issues ataupun no restrictions, no conditions. We're gonna increase by 20%. Okay, tengok soalan but for this question, it increased by 20%. Okay, but next we have fixed asset at the bottom here. In net fixed assets, and this is conditional. Okay, we will increase it if it meets the condition, but in this case, the condition is not met because the company not operating at full capacity. So there's a word not operating on here, not operating. So therefore, our values for fixed asset will remain the same. Okay, we don't have to increase it. Okay, last week ataupun last meeting, for the fixed asset, they have separate between plant and machineries and land, if I'm not mistaken. So land tu memang kita remain constant, but for plant and machinery tu kita increase. Okay, why? Because they already operated at full capacity, so therefore they need to increase their plant and machineries. Okay, but for this question, they lump together as a fixed asset, net fixed assets, and somehow it's not met the condition, so therefore it remain constant. Okay, so therefore we're gonna add everything here. So 70 plus 1980 plus 450 plus 900 plus 1350. So the new total asset will be 4950. Okay, 4950. As I said, if you compare with the original 4350, so we can see here, in order to increase 20% sales next year, the company needs to invest 600,000. Okay, so the difference 4950 dengan 4350, which is 600,000. So the 600,000 needs to be invested. Okay, the company needs to invest that much, 600,000. Okay, so again, how I get this, the 600,000, the difference between the forecasted with the original. So the left-hand side indicates how much money they need to invest, 600,000. Okay, I put here je lah. Remember, the investment, 600,000. Okay, so the next question on the right-hand side, we will answer where to get this 600,000 from. Okay, remember we have two sources, internal, external, ataupun spontaneous dengan non-spontaneous. The one spontaneous, we will increase it by this much. Okay, the ones yang non-spontaneous, we will remain it constant. Okay, so on the right-hand side here, we have first account payable. So account payable 150. Original, so 150, we increase by 1.2 ataupun 20%. We have 180,000. Then we have accruals, 75,000, increased by 20%. We have 90,000. Okay, and remember, notes payable is one of the items considered external ataupun non-spontaneous. Therefore, for time being, the notes payable, okay, we're gonna keep it constant first, which is 188. Okay, and then we have long-term debt. Long-term debt, remember this is long-term liabilities already, so long-term liabilities and also equity, we're gonna keep it constant. Okay, just copy from the question. On the stock as well. Stock 1,005. Okay, and we have RE, retained earning. Okay, and the one that we need to calculate by ourselves is actually retained earning. Okay, but anyway, the total liabilities and equity, we know it will be 4950. Okay, so before we do anything, we need to calculate the retained earning first. So to find the new retained earning, okay, if you remember, the formula would be the old retained earning plus, then we have a full bracket here, sales for the next year ataupun the forecasted sales, multiply with net profit margin. Okay, and if you remember when we multiply this earlier like this, Actually, we are finding the net profit. Then we multiply with 1 minus dividend payout ratio. Okay. So this is the formula that we need to use to find the new retained earning. So the original retained earning will be from the question 637,000. Okay. So this is another tip. Okay. If you notice the information from the question, yeah, in the table for the balance sheet and the values at the bottom here, so they mix in terms of how they express the values. Macam ni dia guna thousands but in bracket of thousands here. Here they guna 7.5 million, the word million. Here they use the normal thousands. Okay. So regardless whatever you use, okay, just try to make it consistent. So since we are using these thousands, yeah, in the bracket, so I will keep it consistent using this format. Okay, so meaning when we do the sales one here, okay, the new sales, kalau tadi I letak sini 9 million, I use the word M kan, which is consistent with the question. But when we try to express it here, okay, make sure you know your numbers lah. Kalau tak nanti you mixed up between thousands and millions, right? So be careful with that. So kalau 9 million means kita akan letak sini the value be 900,000. Okay, because the thousands tu kita dah express kat atas ni. Okay, so this is technically 9 million. So this is our 9 million tadi. They increase by 20%, 7.5 million. Increase by 20%, we have 9 million. So, but I wrote it here 900,000. Okay, but this is actually 9 million. How I know it's 9 million? Because we have these 3 zeros on top. Okay, so our net profit margin is 5%. Okay, how I know net profit margin is 5% from the question directly, we don't have to calculate. But if we have to, we need to calculate using this formula. Okay, but the DPR is not given. They give you like this, 2 to 5,000 only in the form of dividend payment. But we need to find the net profit, okay, based on DPR formula. So here we have 1 minus 50%. So 900,000 times 5% times 0.5 plus 637,000. Try again. Million at 9 times 5%. Plus 637. It's 62. So we have 862, and there's an 862. So we put here 862. So if you have 180 plus 90 plus 188 plus 1,800 plus 1,500 plus 862 plus, plus. Okay, so once you calculated all from account payable until retained earning, okay, from 180, 90, 188, 1,008, 1,005, and 862. So you're going to find that your AFN is based on 4,920, which is the total assets, plus the current total liabilities and equity. You found it as 4,620. So you short with 300,000. Okay, you short with 300,000. So technically, we are supposed to put AFN 300 here dekat bawah ni like last week or last meeting. We put AFN, then 300 here. Okay, but since the question specify that the external requirements are absorbed and reflected in notes payable, so therefore the AFN will not be a standalone figure. This 300,000 kita akan transfer to this notes payable. Okay, we're going to transfer into notes payable. If you don't do that, again, you will not get the full 10 marks lah. Okay, you're going to miss maybe one at least mark. So maybe maximum you can get 9 only. Okay, which is a shame lah because you dah buat betul kan calculations. So transfer this according to this punya instruction. Transfer this value 300,000 into notes payable. Okay, which is currently 188. Original is 188,000. Therefore, we're going to rub this 188 and we're going to add with 300. So 188 plus 300 is 488. Okay, 488. So if you add everything, you should get 4950 lah balik. Okay, just have to confirm. Okay, for salah kira. 180 plus 90. Short, salah kira sekejap oh, we are supposed to use 4950 ni tadi. Sorry, bear with me salah kira kat sini. Okay, 4950 minus 4620 is 330. So it's supposed to be 330 here. Okay, so 330 plus original 188. So it's supposed to be 518. Okay, 518. So that's why better to double check and double count each values. Okay, then we get 4950. All right, so this is the full answer lah, basically. Okay, so this is a good question whereby it is totally almost the opposite of the previous question that we've done 2 weeks ago. All right, whereby this question features the not full operating at full capacity. They don't give you the DPR, for example. Okay, they ask you to absorb the AFN in the notes payable. Okay, and as I said, it's not necessarily notes payable. Sometimes they can ask you to transfer to long-term debt, can be to the common stocks. Okay, any figures ataupun values yang unchanged kat sini originally. Okay, account payable accrual cannot lah because this is spontaneous. Okay, we increase already by 20%. So the possible, it can be from notes payable. Okay, long-term debt, which is 1008 also, common stock. Retained earning also cannot be the option as well. So usually it will be all the equity excluding retaining and also long-term debt or long-term liabilities. Okay, so that's about it. Okay, that's about it for Proforma financial statements. And for this question also, we don't have to prepare Proforma for the income statement because for income statement, we are actually trying to find the retained earning, this part only, and we can find it using this formula instead. Okay, ngam-ngam, 9. As I said, I try to cover ataupun recap balik this topic by half an hour. Ada question? Anything? Okay,
So far tak ada.
Okay, good. Because untuk topik ni which is topic 4, kita ada Proforma and cash budget yang kita akan buat later. Both will be in our first test. Okay, so that's why I revisit this again so that you properly understand the topic lah. Okay, so if there's no question, let's move on to first actually, cash budget, because we skipped this last week because cash budget requires slightly longer time as compared to Proforma. So let's go back to the cash budget. Okay, similar like Proforma financial statements, cash budget is something that we are doing for the future. Okay, for the future. So the question will give you a set of information, current information, and obviously they will give you a set of assumptions as well. Sebab bila kita buat untuk future, obviously kita kena assume, because how to know what will happen in the future, kan? So we're gonna have to assume certain information, right? So what is cash budget? Okay, so it is a statement. Okay, again, you need to prepare a statement, whereby in the statement you're gonna list down all the inflows and also the outflows. And since this is a cash budget, okay, the word cash, yeah. So the things that our concern would be anything related to the cash movement, okay, cash movement only, right? And this is used to estimate the short-term cash requirement, right? Because at the end of the statement, we're gonna identify whether the company has cash surplus or cash deficit. So if it's surplus, means they have excess. If it's deficit, they have a shortage of cash, right? So both companies can do their strategies. Okay, if they have surplus consistently, they can plan for investment, for example, meaning they have always surplus certain amount of cash, so therefore they can plan for investment. But if they do the cash budget and then found out that they always have a deficit, then they need to know jugalah how to recover this deficit, whether to cut their costs ataupun try to borrow money from somewhere in order to cover the deficit. Okay, so that's the purpose of cash budget at the first place. So typically the cash budget is designed to cover 1 year. Okay, similar like any other statements. However, for cash budget, we're gonna divide it into a smaller time intervals. Usually, we're gonna prepare it on monthly basis. Okay, for a 1 year period, but on a monthly basis, right? But just to let you know, since if the question asks you to prepare for 1 year with a monthly basis, it will take time. Okay, you can work on monthly basis, yeah? So therefore, for questions, okay, for tests, for example, they instead of for 1 whole year, they will ask you to prepare still on monthly basis, but only for 1 quarter. Okay, so that you have enough time to complete within, let's say, test of 2 hours, for example, right? Or else you're gonna need longer time to prepare for 1 year. Okay, so just relax, because usually the question will ask you to prepare just for 1 quarter. Okay, so you comprise detailed plan of future cash flows. Like I said, inflows and outflows. When we talk about future cash flows, both incoming and outgoing cash. Okay, so used by the firm to estimate short-term cash requirement, as I said, whether they have surplus or deficit. Okay, so this is the content, okay, of the cash budget. Okay, they split into 4 different sections. Ataupun ni dikata 4 elements. First is the cash receipts. Okay, cash receipts indicates inflows. Okay, all the receipts ataupun all the inflows. So usually when we talk about cash receipts, kita boleh nampak lah the inflows ataupun incoming cash tu comes from usually from the sales transaction. The company do their sales, okay, so that will be the source of incomes for the company, right? So inflows datang daripada sales, number 1. And on top of that, it can be from any types of returns. Okay, when they invest, they akan dapat return kan dari segi dividend ke, from kalau you invest in certain investment that give them interest, for example, okay, dividend return, interest return, or if they invest in property, for example, real estates, their income datang daripada rental. Okay, it's possible that way as well. Okay, so overall, when we talk about inflows, any sort of income, okay, any sort of income from sales ke, from the investment returns, okay, will be part of the cash receipts. Okay. Number 2 is the cash disbursement. Okay, so this is the outflow. So outflow a lot lah. Okay, a lot of transactions regarding outflows because this is involve expenses kan. So usually for cash disbursement, they will start with purchases. Okay, they have to, as a business, and they have to purchase either their raw material ataupun their goods yang dia nak jual. Okay, so obviously they need to make purchase with their suppliers. Okay, so that will be the source of outflows. Okay, they need to pay for their suppliers. And then any other expenses lah, operating expenses. It can be their rent. Kalau dia rent juga. Kalau tadi tu rent untuk inflows kalau dia ada investment, they receive rental, dia masuk kat sini. Tapi kalau dia yang menyewa, they have to pay rent. So rent masuk dekat outflow lah. Okay, rental, salaries and wages. If they have employees, they have to pay for salaries, akan masuk kat sini. Utilities, kalau dia ambil insurance, kena bayar insurance punya premiums. Okay, anything lah got to do dengan expenses, outflows, they will record under cash disbursement. Okay, and then number 3, net changes in cash. So the net changes is basically inflows minus outflows. We want to see for that particular month whether the company has excess or not. So simply minus the receipts with the disbursements. Then they can find the net changes. Okay, so 3 tu very simple lah. You just minus dua information ni. The total inflows minus the total outflows. And number 4 is this one, the net financing needed. Okay, for the net financing needed, you have to somehow memorize lah. Okay, ataupun familiarize with the format sebab dia ada few items kat sini nanti. Okay, I will share with you the format later on. Okay, but at the end of this net financing needed, we're going to find whether, tadilah, like I said, whether surplus or deficit. Okay, this will be at the very bottom of the statement based on our net financing needed in section. So if it's surplus, okay, macam ni tadi, we can plan for investment. Tapi kalau deficit, we can plan for borrowings. Okay, so this is the purpose for cash budget. Okay. So these are the steps. So the steps is basically we are following the elements lah ataupun the sections. Right? But for the first and the second one, the concept is the same. Okay, but for different items. Okay. So for number 1, determine the amount. Number 1 is the amount. And number 2 is the timing of cash receipts. Okay. Why I underline these 2 information? Because in cash budget, these 2 rules must be met accordingly, or else we're going to record a wrong information. Because cash budget kita buat tadi, like I said, on monthly basis. So we need to know on that particular month, what would be the amount that the company will receive and when. Jugalah timing tu kalau ikut particular month tu. Okay. So as I said tadi, receipts includes sales, kalau ada any other macam properties punya rental, dividend ataupun interest receipt. Okay. So we're going back to this amount and timing. Give me 1 second. I just want to illustrate to you. Ni tadi kita dah settle. What does it mean by amount and cash receipt? Ataupun amount and timing. Example. So katakanlah in Jan, sales in January 2021, value dia 500,000 katakan. Okay, this is the assumption. Sales in January 2021, 500,000. Okay, cash payment, okay, from your customer would be 40%. Okay, and credit payment. So kalau 40% cash, so 60% will be credit lah. Okay, and this 60% will be paid 1 month later. Katakan macam ni. Okay, so this is the assumption. Sales in Jan, 500,000 in total. However, customer only pay 40%. Okay, 40%. Right, and 60% customer will pay 1 month later. So remember, this is from our receipts. Sebab this is between us as business dengan our customer. So customer yang owe us money, 60% ni customer yang hutang kita. Right, so that's why it's part of the account receivable kat sini. But anyway, so what does it mean by recording based on the amount and the timing? Okay, so your cash budget will look something like this. I akan letak January kat sini. But kita kena buat on monthly basis February kat sini, let's say, and then March contohnya lah. So our first item here is sales. Okay, sales. And this sales in Jan berlaku 500,000. Okay, the sales happen 500,000 in Jan. But I don't put assumption for Feb and March. Sepatutnya kalau ada, you put lah February berapa, March berapa thousands. Okay, but just focus on Jan 500,000. But based on this assumption, we are not going to get the 500,000 cash in Jan. Okay, remember, we are doing cash budget. So we are concerned with the cash. The 500,000 is not cash, not all cash. Okay, 40% je cash, but the rest are credit. So we want to know what is the amount that we will receive in Jan, Feb, and March accordingly. Contohnya lah. So based on these assumptions, we know there will be some cash transaction. Okay, in this case, the cash is only 40% of the respective month's value. So 40% of 500,000 will be 200,000. Okay, 200,000. So therefore, based on this, the amount is 200,000. Okay, 40% of 500 is 200k. So this 200,000, I'm going to record it in Jan. Sebab 500,000 transaction happen in Jan and only 40% cash, which is paid within that month. Okay, so we're going to record 200,000 here. Okay, so this is the amount, and when the timing is in Jan. But what happened to the rest of the money? We have the credit 60%, so 60% of 500,000 is 300,000. So when this will be received, it will be received 1 month later. So kalau transaction in Jan, so 1 month later will be in Feb. So therefore, we're going to put, let's say here, credit. Credit 60%. And this 60% kita akan record when? In Feb. How much? 300,000. Okay. So again, this is the rules of the right amounts. Okay. The split, dalam case ni, the split 200, 300,000 this and the timing. Okay. 200,000 in Jan, 300,000 in Feb. Okay, so we're gonna do for all transaction lah. So maknanya kat sini nanti kita kena record February punya and also March. So February punya, similarly, cash 40% and the balance 1 month later. Okay, March pun sama and so on. Alright, and as you notice here, ada satu information kat sini missing. Okay, credit 60% in Jan. So we know, in order to complete this information, we need information from the past as well. So kita kena ada information from December sebab 60% received in Jan comes from sales in December. Kan? So that's how we try to complete our statements based on these two rules. Determine the right amounts and the correct timing. Okay, boleh konsep tu. Okay, so this is just for 1 month. Imagine you need to prepare for all 3 months selalunya for 1 quarter. Alright, so that's step number 1. So we need to do the sales part lah usually. We need to complete like this. Okay, and this payment scheme ni, payment system ni, ataupun payment pattern ni, it will be different from question to question. Alright, so like my example is 40-60 macam ni lah, 40% cash, credit 60%, paid 1 month later. Okay, some question can be split into 2 payment like this with the different ratios. It can be split into 3, it can be split into 4 pun. Okay, so read the question carefully. Right? And then number 2, we will need to determine similarly amount and timing, but this is for outflows. Okay, for outflows. So for outflows, we're gonna start with purchases nanti. Purchases, right? And the rest of information for especially for fixed payment ataupun fixed expenses, it's gonna be the same transaction every month. So contohnya rental selalunya kita fix kan bayar setiap bulan 1,000 contohnya. So kalau dia fix, dia akan letaklah rental 1,000 every month, something like this. So akan ada some transaction yang fix like this, some that we need to calculate manually one by one like this. Okay, so you need to go through all the assumptions accordingly and put it under the receipts or the disbursements. So once you have this total for both cash receipt and cash disbursement, then we're going to find the net cash flow simply by minus inflow minus outflow. Alright, simple je. Just one transaction, one item je, the net cash flow nama dia. Then we just minus. And finally, prepare the cash reconciliation to see the net finance changes tadi So it starts with net cash flow. So that's why nanti if you notice kejap lagi lah, tak notice lagi sekarang lah, but later you will notice that I'm going to combine the 3 and 4 ni sebenarnya sebab once we have the net cash flow, okay, takkan kita nak tulis 2 kali net cash flow kan. So immediately after net cash flow, we're going to add with beginning cash balance. So for beginning cash balance, we're going to add. We will add with the net cash flow. Net cash flow ni basically the net transactions for that particular month. So kalau dia punya inflow is more than dia punya outflow, meaning we will have a positive net cash flow. So meaning we have excess untuk that particular month. Cash kita excess. Tapi kalau inflow is less than outflow, meaning we're going to have a deficit. So what's the impact towards our beginning ataupun our cash balance ni? This beginning cash balance carry forward from previous month. So if it's positive net cash flow, so our cash balance akan increase. Okay, it will increase. So when we add with beginning cash balance, actually we're going to get the ending cash balance. Okay, selepas kita add beginning, we're going to get the ending cash balance. Okay. So kalau like I said, kalau positive net cash flow, our ending will be more sebab kita ada additional cash from that month's transactions. But if we have a negative net cash flow, so our cash balance will reduce sebab kita kena cover yang deficit based on that particular month. So our ending will be lower than beginning. Okay, so ending ni simply net cash flow plus beginning cash balance. Then we get the ending cash balance. And we need to set aside the minimum cash requirement. So this is based on company's policy. Again, the question will give you this information, minimum cash requirement ataupun sometimes they use the word minimum cash balance. Okay, so for minimum cash balance, we need to minus. Okay, minus minimum cash balance because we need to set aside, we need to extract, put aside lah, I can see the cash that we have as our reserve. As our reserve. So therefore, we need to minus these values so that we don't use it. Okay, so once you minus, then we're going to get either surplus again or deficit. Okay, or deficit. Okay, so that's our cash reconciliation. Again, dalam notes ni ada contoh kejap lagi, tapi I will not go through the question in the notes, but you can try on your own sebab ada jawapan. So you can try. Okay, but one more thing kat sini, last thing that I need to highlight here. There's a lot of things kat sini, tapi the most important part is this one, number 3 ni. Remember, this is cash budget. Okay, cash. So therefore, any non-cash transactions, for example, depreciation, will not be part of our cash budget. Will not be part of our cash budget. Okay, but somehow this depreciation information will be given in the question. They will provide you with this depreciation information. Okay, so don't get tricked. Like I say, depreciation will not be part ataupun included in our cash budget. So if you see depreciation in the question, so please ignore. ataupun disregard this information. Because depreciation is not cash transaction, they're just a reduction of values, especially with regards to our fixed assets. Okay, dia tak ada cash outflow berlaku, dia hanya ada reductions in values. Okay, and therefore it's non-cash transaction. So therefore we will not include that in our cash budget. Okay, so ni je lah nak highlight. So don't get tricked with this depreciation information. Okay, so let's look at some question from past year again. So ni kita ambil yang baru sikit lah. Kalau ada. Okay, yeah. If you refer to December 2018, the final exam that we have, okay, sebab lepas December 2018, we don't have final exam anymore, right? Question number 2. Okay, so these are the projected sales, okay, for Palong Great Holding for the first and second quarter of 2019. So dia bagilah from Jan until July dia punya sales, punya forecasted sales. And then dia bagi you a set of instructions ataupun assumptions. Okay, dia bagilah number 1 dia cerita pasal sales, number 2 dia cerita pasal purchases, and then all the transaction yang lain lah. Okay, to pay wages, rent and admin, ada selling expenses, ada tax repayment, ada machines, ada depreciation, ada interest on loans, then there are beginning balance and minimum. Okay, once you see this beginning balance and minimum, you remember lah, this is from our 4th step, from our 4th element, which is the reconciliation part. So therefore we know this information we need to incorporate dalam ni, yang ni tadi. Ada beginning balance, ada minimum kan. So the question asks us to prepare a cash budget for the second quarter. Okay, second quarter. So even though the question give you first and second kan, okay, but we need to prepare just for the second quarter. So meaning the marks of 20 ni will be given based on information for the second quarter only. So kalau you buat first and second, still your marks will be based on second quarter's information je lah. So second quarter of 2019 ni bulan berapa?
June, July.
Sorry?
June, July.
2 bulan je?
Sorry. Second quarter. April, May, June.
April, May, and June. Okay, so these 3 months. Okay, so don't get mixed up dengan other quarters. So kalau you katakanlah kita salah, you buat, I don't know, March, April, May contohnya. So April and May ni je lah ada marks. Sebab you tak buat June. So be careful with the selection of months. Okay, so let's try this together lah. Ataupun how we need to prepare the statements. Okay, hopefully you can see on the left here the questions. Okay, remember we have 4 steps just now. I mentioned kita ada first section is the cash receipts, second cash disbursement, and then the third one net cash flow, and then the 4th one cash reconciliation. Okay, but again, as always, when we talk about statements, it's a proper way to put a title for the statement. Okay, so for this statement, it belongs to Palong Great Holding. So letaklah nama company tu, Palong Great Holding, and the name of the statement is cash budget. Okay, cash budget for second quarter. Of 2019. Okay, second quarter of 2019. Right. So the format, we're going to follow the sequence ataupun follow the sections. But remember, since they asked for second quarter, so we're going to prepare for the 3 months yang your friend tadi dah mention. It will be for April, May, 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 and also June. Okay, so our first section would be cash receipts. Okay, so this is our first section, cash receipt. So remember, cash receipt represents cash inflows. And inflows comes from sales. Number one, sales. So that's why first item kat sini is about sales. Right, so we're going to write sales dulu. Okay. And we have 3 months kat sini, April, May, June. So mana nak dapat sales untuk these respective months? From this table lah. Okay, so April. Okay, figure ni agak panjang again. I tak nak tulis in full. So I'm going to put okay, kalau you tak nak letak, you nak letak in full pun tak ada masalah. But for me, I kurangkan lah the 3 digit kat belakang ni. But make sure consistent lah. The usage must be consistent. Okay, so for example, April 3630. May 3850. And in June 3780. Okay, so that's our first item, sales. But again, sales not represent the cash transaction because some of the sales may be cash, but most of it dalam case ni is based on credit. So rate for number one, dia kata kat sini the company makes 20% cash sale. So only 20% je cash. Okay, 50% collected the month following sales. Okay, maknanya the next month tu 50%, and the 30% will be collected second month following sale ataupun the second month. So meaning we can see here the payment of sales ni for sales transaction ni, they happen in 3 stages. Okay, cash that month, 50% 1 month later, 30% 2 months later. So we're going to write that payment system tu ataupun payment pattern tu dalam kita punya cash receipt ni. So meaning I'm going to put cash kat sini, 20%. I'm going to put 1 month later, 1 month, 50%. And I'm going to put 2 months later, another 30%. Okay, so this is based on question, so you're going to prepare this. Better to prepare this pattern so that we know how to calculate. Okay, remember the rule, we need to know the value based on 20, 50, 30%, and we need to know the timing based on immediate, 1 month or 2 months later. And we combine this information to prepare for this April, May, and June punya information. So let's focus on April. April dulu April, sales dia 3630. So 3630 in April, 20% they will receive it immediately sebab cash kan. So we multiply with 20%. We have 726,000 kat sini. Okay, 726,000. So the company will receive 20% of it in the same month. Okay, still follow me tengok yang sales bulan April ni So kita dah receive 20% in April. So the 50% pula will be received 1 month later. Okay, 50% of 3630 would be 1815. Okay, 1815 will be received 1 month later, which is in May. So dekat May ni kita akan record 1815. Okay, so again, how I get this 1815? 50%, which is will be received 1 month later from April, 3630. We multiply half of this, 1815. Okay, 1 month later. And lastly, 3630 ni, 30% of it, which is 1089, okay, 30% of ni will be received 2 months later. 2 months later from April will be in June. Okay, so for June, it will be 1089. 1089. Okay, so from April we can see in total dia punya movement. Cash 20%, 726. And then 50%, 1815, received in May. And 30%, 1089, will be received 2 months later, which is in June. So kalau you add all three, sepatutnya you should get 3630 balik lah. So that's how this 3630 will be received by the company. Okay, with this payment pattern ni. Okay, boleh clear tak ni? How to calculate this? Ni I just focus on April, but obviously we need to find ada 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 information lagi. Okay, so the easiest one actually based on cash lah, sebab dia datang exactly from the same month. Okay, for example in May 3850 3850 20%, it will be 770. So 770 kita akan record kat sini lah, 770. Okay, 20% of 3850, and kat sini is 20% of 3780. 3780, 20% will be 756. So 756 kat sini. Okay, so cash very straightforward, 20% of respective months. Okay, but 1 month ni you have to refer to the previous month's punya sales. So meaning untuk April for example, okay, April kalau nak tengok 50% from 1 month, meaning we have to refer to sales from previous month. So sales from previous month kena tengok dalam table ni balik lah. So that's why they give you a lot of sales figures kat sini, but we have to refer to that as well. So previous month 2650 in March. So 2650, 50%. So it's 1325 kat sini. Okay, 1325. Okay, untuk June pula, we're going to refer from the previous month, which is in May. So May 3850, 50%. So 1925. Okay, 1925 kat sini. So we have 2 more information yang tak complete lagi which is 2 months. Okay, so kalau April, 2 months before April would be February. Okay, 2 months 2 months. Maknanya transaction in February, dia akan bayar cash immediately 20%. 50% which is will be received in March, and the balance 30% will be received in April. Kat sini lah. Okay, February tu. So 2006 times 30%, 780. So 780 will be received here. Okay, 30% of 2006. So kalau May pula, 2 months before May will be in March, 2650. So 2650 times 30% will be 795. All right, and that completes our information number 1. Okay, our first information number 1 looks like this lah. Once kita dah dissect dia punya information ni, we put this accordingly. Boleh tak? Okay, so we follow the rules of the amount, okay, the 20, 50, 30% rule dalam case ni, and also the timing. Okay, cash 1 month and 2 months later, and the timing and dengan value ni it's not the same for every question. Dia akan berubah ikut soalan lah. Okay, so read. Usually it will be in the first information. Okay, boleh ke? So once you have this sales dengan dia punya payment ni from our customers to us as a business, because this is our account receivable bawah ni, yang 1 month and 2 months ni. Cash ni cash sales lah, yang ni credit sales. So once you have this cash receipts untuk sales kita dah siap, usually I will suggest you to go through other information. Tengok ada tak element of cash receipts. Okay, we need to check that. So maknanya browse through lah from number 2 sampailah the last one. Ada tak element of receipts untuk information yang lain. So for example number 2 purchases. So purchases is not receipt. This is payment kan. Purchase dengan payment. So this is outflow. The company pays. Okay, bayar lagi. So pays again outflows. Selling expenses. So expenses, cost. Again outflows. Repayment. Tax repayment. Okay, again, dia kena bayar outflow. A machine costing 70,000 we bought. Again, dia beli, bought. So again, this is outflow. Interest on term loans 15,000 payable. Okay, they have to pay. Again, this is outflow. Then beginning balance ni nak kasih lah, this is for cash reconciliation. So therefore for this question, we don't have any other inflows. Okay, tak ada inflows. If that's the case, we're gonna find the total terus lah. Kita tak ada inflow yang lain. Quickly tengok soalan Jun 2012 ni kejap. Tengok soalan cash budget dia ada tak? Cash budget dah. Okay, last time dia bagi macam ni susah saya nak baca, kena baca satu-satu. Okay, tak ada. Tapi kalau nak tahu for any other income, dia akan guna the words receipt. Okay, contohnya item like dividend contohnya. The company expected to receive dividend of 10,000 at the beginning of every quarter contohnya lah. So expected to receive. So anything yang menunjukkan possible income tu kita akan record kat bawah ni lah. Katakanlah ada dividend is expected to receive ataupun dividend of 10,000 is expected to receive every beginning of quarter. So kita akan letak sini dividend 10,000 here sebab dia kat beginning contohnya. Okay, but for this question tak ada So kalau tak ada, you're going to find the subtotal. Okay, so the name is total cash receipts. Okay, total cash receipts. Okay, very important kat sini Kita nak cari total. And if you look from the top here, kita punya sales ni. These sales, okay, represented from the 3 payments. Okay, cash 1 month later and 2 months later. So we don't want to add this 3630 again because 3630 represented in 3 payment kat sini. Okay, so this sales ni will not be part of our receipts. Okay, so usually what I ask the students to do is to underline this as well. So kita tak nak masuk sekali the sales information ni. Okay, simply because we don't want to double count. Okay, sebab 3630 everything here dah represented accordingly kat bawah ni. Okay, so therefore we want to just record the receipts based on respective months. So dalam case ni, the ones in between of the 2 lines ni lah. In between of the 2 lines. So for example, for April 726 plus 1325 plus 780. So we have 2831 kat sini. Okay, 770, 1825, 75, 3380 kat sini. And for June, 756 plus 1925 plus 3770. Okay, so that's our total cash receipts. Okay, so but this is not the most trickiest part lah dalam soalan ni For the trickiest part is actually when we try to record number 2, cash receipts, especially for these purchases. That's the only part yang tricky. Yang lain ni very straightforward because everything is fixed kan. So we're gonna record everything consistently every month. Okay, macam yang per month ni. Each month macam ni. We're gonna record every month the same. So tak ada issue. Cuma yang issue this number 2. Okay, so number 1 kita dah siap. Now we go to number 2, which is our cash disbursement in fact from number 2 sampai number 7 here, everything here is all cash disbursement. Okay, in our second section, we have cash disbursement. Cash disbursements. Okay. Okay, but before we move on to cash disbursement, maybe we can take a short break kejap lah. We'll take a 5 minutes break. But again, kalau ada soalan about cash receipt ni, you can ask me later Tapi ya, cash disbursement hanya yang complicated sikit lah, just about the payment of sales ni. Cash one month, 2 months ni. And again, kalau ada yang lain you add kat bawah ni. Okay, but rasa ni tak ada. Maybe kejap lagi masa break ni, I try to cari lah kalau ada. Okay, so let's take 5.
Saya nak tanya.
Ya, boleh.
So dia punya yang semua detail yang dia bagi kat atas ni, so kita just jawab macam tu lah. Yang dia bagi nombor 1, nombor 2 kan.
You have to use all. Semua assumption ni kena guna.
So maksudnya kalau nak jawab kena buat macam sebuat tadi ke? Nombor 1 dulu dan bawah nombor 2. So jawapan
you macam nak cakap kebetulan dia punya sequence of numbering ni ikut I punya format lah, tapi sepatutnya you akan prepare according to the format.
Oh, okay.
Ada certain information yang tak ikut sequence kat kiri ni. Cuma untuk soalan ni kebetulan dia follow the sequence lah.
Oh, okay.
Macam contoh tadi I cakap untuk dividend payment ataupun dividend receive contohnya. Mungkin dia tak letak nombor 2, dia akan letak nombor 7 contohnya kat sini. So you tak boleh letak dalam statement kita kat bawah sebab dia receive kan. So you still akan letak kat atas.
Contohnya. Oh, okay. Thank you.
So numbering is not really matter. Yang matter sebenarnya kita punya statement ni.
Saya nak tanya.
Ya.
So memang untuk semua soalan yang jenis macam ni dia punya format menjawab dia memang yang macam saya tulis tu lah
Yang kanan ni.
Okay.
On the right. Format is on the right. Cuma information tengok soalan. Tak semua soalan ada benda yang, tapi macam sales dengan purchases ni confirm ada. But the rest ni you need to follow the question sebab setiap soalan lain dia punya assumption dia.
Okay. Noted sir. Thank you.
Okay, take 5 jap. All right. Let's continue with the question. Okay, but before we go back to this December 2018 ni question yang kita tengah buat ni for Palong Grid Holding, I want you to see this question. This is for June 2018, one semester before this. The one yang I nak highlight to you is this one. Yang ni, contohnya yang E ni. Okay, so ni dia guna A, B, C, D, E pula. Right. So again, they give first part is the sales values. Then dia bagi dia punya collection, sama macam soalan sebelum ni. And then dia bagi B and C ni is about purchase dengan payment of purchases. And then dia ada D dengan E ni. Dia ada word receive ni. So ni. So dia ada dividend 86,000 receive.
Sir.
I tak share lagi.
Share screen
Sorry. Ni you can see kan. So ni June 2018. Alright. So for D dengan E ni, dia ada word receive ni. Okay, so this D and E, kalau kita buat kita punya Proforma cash budget ni, we are going to include as part of our cash receipt. So maknanya selepas 2 months ni contohnya lah dia akan letak rental 5,000 every month. So every month dia akan letak 5,000. And then dividend 86,000 dia akan receive dalam case ni September lah, assuming this would be our end of our quarter. So kita akan letak lah dividend in September contohnya, in 1 month only. Okay, and perhaps I dah share dengan you link untuk YouTube kan, yang playlist tu kalau tak salah. If you go to the main page of the YouTube channel tu, dia ada playlist untuk group satu lagi juga sebenarnya. Alright, so some of the topics ni I akan gunakan soalan yang lain untuk go through. So yeah, untuk maybe kejap lagi kita ada group 2A. So for group 2A I will discuss for this question. So kalau nak tengok how I do this, tengok dekat playlist untuk group satu lagi lah. Okay, you akan dapat lah FIN420, the group NBFO2A. You guys 2B kan. So 2B I guna December 2018. For 2A later I will discuss untuk soalan ni. So kalau you nak tengok how we go through this, tengok video tu lah later. Alright. So now we go back to the December 2018. Alright. So number 1 kita dah go through. So next we look at number 2. Okay, so for number 2, in fact for cash disbursement, kita akan start dengan purchases. We're going to start with purchases. Okay, macam sales kita start for receipts but for disbursement kita start dengan purchases. But unlike sales diberi in the question like this. But for purchases, okay, most of the time they will not give you the purchases values, but instead they will give you assumption. In the form of assumption. So assumption ni apa untuk soalan ni? The purchases are 60% of sales. Okay, so this is the value, 60%. But in terms of timing, you made 1 month before sales occur. So for the first line ni, they mention about sales saja. 60% the value, and the timing 1 month before the sales occur. Okay, so I'm going to put 60% juga lah kat sini sebab dia 60% value. Right. So we need to prepare for these 3 months, April, May and June for purchases. So kalau kita nak buat April punya purchase kat sini, so kita nak refer sales bulan berapa? March. Sebab dia 1 month before Okay, April kita beli. Okay, based on your answer tadi, sales kita akan refer sales bulan March. Betul?
Ya.
Okay, dengar balik saya cakap. Kita purchase material bulan April and kita jual sales tu bulan March. Fit tak ni statement ni?
Purchase bulan-bulan Februari biasa kalau kita bayar sebab dia 2 months.
Jangan tengok yang bawah ni Ni payment ni. 2 months ni payment. Ni, we are talking about the first line ni je. Dia 1 month.
May.
Okay, ingat purchases berlaku sebelum sales. 1 month before sales. So kalau kita beli purchase in April, so
Sales in May.
tak boleh lah sales bulan March kan. Sales tu berlaku sebelum beli. So sales tu berlaku purchase ni berlaku sebelum sales. So kalau purchase in April, so sales berlaku bulan Mei lah. Okay, bulan Mei. So the purchase here is the one yang 1 month before the sales. Kalau purchase April, maknanya 1 month before May punya sales, will be April punya purchase lah. Okay, so for purchase of April, we're gonna refer to May punya sales, not March May punya sales. Okay, and how much? 60% of it. So untuk setiap bulan ni, kita kena refer to sales 1 month selepasnya, which is terbalik ni lah sebab ni dia cerita pasal purchases So kalau kita cerita pasal sales, it will be 1 month after purchases lah. Okay, so 3850 times 60%. So 2310 kat sini. 3780, 60%, 2268. And that's why again dia bagi you sampai Julai kat sini sebab kita guna gunakan information tu. 2340 here. Okay. Right, but similar like sales, these purchases not necessarily gonna happen in cash 100%. Okay, in fact untuk soalan ni dia tak ada cash pun kot. There's no cash payment. Sebab apa? Dia kata payment is made equally 2 months after the purchases. So when we set equally for 2 months, we know the ratio will be 50-50 sebab dia 2 months kan and equal. Okay, and 2 months after purchases. So maknanya dia akan bayar 1 month later and 2 months later. How much? 50% each. Okay, 50% each. So for this question, there's no cash payment for purchases. So maknanya as a company, Palung Grade ni, bila dia beli from the supplier, dia tak bayar cash. Dia just bayar equally 2 months later. Okay, in currently lah, 1 month and 2 months later. So meaning for this 2310, there will be no immediate payment. Dia akan dibayar 1 month and 2 months later. So 2310, 50% is 1155 So 1155 dia akan bayar first in May. And the second 1155 dia akan bayar in June. Okay. So again, if you combine these two, you're gonna get 2310 lah. Who indicates that they purchase in April. Okay, beli in April 2310, pay 1 month later 50%, 2 months later another 50%. Okay, for May punya purchase 2268 2268 50%, 1134 dia akan bayar first in June 1134. Sepatutnya dia akan bayar one more in July, but since we are not doing for July, so you don't have to write in July lah. Sepatutnya dia akan July dekat second month ni. Sepatutnya. Okay, but it's not our concern because it's not part of our question. But soalan suruh buat second quarter je. Alright. Now, we have 3 more information needs to be completed. Okay, 1 month in April, 2 months in April, and 2 months in May. So therefore, similar macam sales tadi, we're gonna refer to the previous month's punya purchases. But again, kalau tadi, the previous month's punya sales, kita boleh pick terus daripada soalan. But untuk purchases, remember, these purchases are based on sales 1 month. Okay, purchase ni berlaku 1 month before sales. Okay, and the value is 60%. So therefore, jangan straight away ambil sales punya figures ni. Kita kena convert the sales into purchases for respective months. Contohnya, untuk April ni, right, April punya payment, remember these two is payment. Okay, 1 month and 2 months are payments. So the payments are refers ataupun based on the purchases. Okay, so maknanya kalau April ni punya transaction which is 1 month before, so kita kena refer to purchase 1 month before April, which is for March. So kita kena cari sebenarnya March punya purchases as well. But for March punya purchases, we're going to refer to April punya sales. Okay, so 3630 times 60%, which is 2178. That will be actually our March punya purchases, 2178. Imagine ada 2178 kat sini. And this 2178 will be paid twice. Okay, which is 1089 in April and 1089 in May. Okay, dapat So 1089 ni mana dapat is based on March punya purchases. So March punya purchases kita refer to April punya sales. Sama macam kita buat tadi 2310 based on May kan. So kalau March refer on April lah. Tu maknanya 3630 times 60%. 60% dapat tadi berapa? 2178. So 2178 50% will be 1089. So first month in April, second month in May. So untuk 2 months in April, maknanya kita kena refer 2 months before April, which is in February. February punya purchases. So February punya purchases, kita kena refer to March punya sales. So 2650 times 60%, 1590. Okay, so 1590 will be February punya purchases. Again, tak ada kat sini. Kalau you, katakanlah you tak confident you can write March dengan February punya juga kalau you nak. Okay, tapi again tak ada markah kat situ. The marks will be given based on April, May, June punya information je. Tapi it will help you lah kalau you rasa you might get confused kalau you tak letak information tu. Then you can prepare also lah for March and Feb, especially for purchases kalau you nak letak. Okay, but for me I tak letak kat sini. But I can say February punya purchases would be 1590. Okay, mana yang dapat 1590? February punya purchase based on March punya sales. So 2650 times 60%. So you dapat 1590 tadi. So 1590 times 50%. So the second month you akan bayar 795 kat sini. Okay, so now kita dah complete lah kita punya purchases and also the payment of purchases. So technically our number 2 is done. Okay, and this is the only part yang agak quite tricky lah. Quite tricky kat sini. That's it. From 3 onwards, it will be very straightforward. Okay, very straightforward. But before we move on to 3, 4, 5, ada soalan tak untuk purchases and payment for purchases? Okay, and again, similar macam sales tadi, and also payment for sales. This information will be different from question to question. Okay, setiap soalan lain lah dia punya scheme of payment ni.
Saya nak tanya.
Ya.
Dia punya soalan ni kan, mark dia tak kira jalan kerja kan, dia just kira mark dekat
Marks will
jawapan
be
je
based
kan.
on this ni yang information yang letak dekat apa yang nampak on the right ni, marks will be given based on this ya.
Oh, okay, noted. Thank you.
Right. Okay, ada lagi? Tak ada? So if no question, so again kita follow through the question je lah. So number 2 kita dah siap. Next kita tengok question assumption number 3. The company pays 35,000 each month for wages and 20,000 each month for rent and other admin. So but again remember untuk soalan ni for me I dah guna thousands kat atas ni thousands atas ni. So when we want to record information yang dibagi thousands straight away, so you jangan letak 35,000 kat sini. 35,000 kat sini contohnya. Because it will spoil your system of numbering kat sini. Okay, so be consistent. The key is to be consistent. So meaning kat sini, if I want to put wages, next I have wages. Okay, wages. So the wages is 35,000 each month. So it's fixed. Setiap bulan 35,000. So I'm just gonna put 35 je lah kat sini. 35. Okay, the thousands represented from here. Okay, so that's wages. Then the other rent and other admin.
Sir, sorry.
Ya,
So dia boleh sambung je lah dekat nombor 2 punya tu.
macam mana?
Wages and rent tu boleh sambung je dekat
Sebab dia part of disbursement. Sebab this is expenses kan? Expenses represent outflow. So all of these are outflows. Kebanyakan transaction memang melibatkan outflows.
Okay.
So just continue je lah bawah ni. Sebab it's part of cash disbursement.
So,
Okay.
sorry nak tanya.
Ya.
So kalau macam dia ada income, dia akan masuk dekat nombor 1 atas tu lah?
Yes. That's why I said, macam contoh tadi kan, yang soalan June ni. June lah. Yalah, June 2018 ni. So macam rental dengan dividend ni, dia akan masuk kat nombor 1 lah. Walaupun dia dah cerita pasal dia dah cerita pasal purchases, dia dah cerita pasal payment for purchases, tapi tiba-tiba D dengan E ni receive kan. So you gonna go back to number 1. So that's why selalunya I will ask you, once you dah buat sales dengan payment of sales kat atas ni, cari yang lain ada tak element of receive untuk complete yang atas ni dulu. Then baru buat yang purchases ni.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
Okay. So rent and others ni is part of ni lah, rent and other admin expenses. So it's not means rent 20,000, other admin 20,000 So dia rent dengan other admin ni 20,000. Okay, so 20,000 each. And then dia ada selling expenses. Selling expenses 40,000 each. The tax repayment. Tax repayment 30,000 beginning So meaning we're not gonna record every month. Hanya record at the beginning of the quarter, which is the first month in April. 30,000. So 1,000 occur only once Next, so this one kita dah buat, selling expenses 40,000 kita dah record. Tax repayment beginning each quarter, which is only in April. Machine dia nak beli machine. Costing 70,000 we bought on May in May tengah-tengah, which is 70,000. So 70. So jangan. Okay, 70,000. And as I said tadi dia ada mention pasal depreciation ni kat sini 200. And if you recall, depreciation is not part of our transactions because this is non-cash. So therefore untuk depreciation ni jangan include kat mana-mana pun. Just ignore je the 20,000. Okay, and then there the interest, last one, interest payable Interest beginning juga 15,000. So another 15,000 kat sini. So this one dah, this one also done. And once you see the beginning balance, minimum balance, then you know this is for reconciliation or final steps. So itu je lah information semua kita dah record dalam disbursements juga. Okay, so therefore similar like cash receipts tadi, so we going to subtotalkan. Okay, subtotalkan all 3 months punya cash disbursement. See lah. Sekejap So it will be total cash disbursement kat sini lah. Alright, and again similar like sales tadi, these purchases is already represented here in 1 month after and 2 months after kan. So I always encourage to underline this as well. Okay, so as a recap, both sales and purchases will not be part of the total. Okay, kita tak add the sales dalam total cash receipts, kita tak add purchases dalam kita punya total cash disbursement as well. Sebab ni hanya kita punya information untuk cari yang 1 month ni. Okay, tapi yang concern us, the cash movement tu berlaku in these respective months dengan value yang macam ni. So we're gonna add from 1 month sampai interest saja. So yang purchases tu tak masuk in our total cash disbursement. So maknanya for April, it would be $2024 kat sini 2024. You kalau add, katakanlah you dapat jawapan lain, let me know I pun cepat je type ni ataupun calculate ni, takut salah kira. $2409 124 plus 115 plus 35 plus 30 plus 40 384. Ini 383. Okay, 2384. Okay, so from the cash receipts dengan cash disbursement punya pattern ni, you can see already this company has a lot of cash available. Okay, sebab dia punya receipt overpower dia punya disbursement every month. Okay, so we can see that nanti dia punya cash akan keep on increasing on monthly basis. Okay, dia akan ada banyak excess of cash. Okay, so next one, number 3. So sebenarnya number 3 ni kita boleh combine the net cash flow dengan cash reconciliation. So for cash reconciliation, saya letak je number 3 tapi kita akan start with net cash flow. Okay, net cash flow. So net cash flow simply means total cash receipts minus total cash disbursement for respective months. So for example, 2831 minus 2024. So we have 807 kat sini 807. For May, 3380 minus 2409. So we have 971 kat sini. Last one, 3770 minus 2384. So we have 1386.
Sir, sorry.
Ya.
Yang Mei tu saya dapat 2439, yang lain dapat
Ini
total cash tu
disbursement.
saya dapat 2439 Mei.
Kita check ya. Plus 35 plus 20 plus 40 plus 70. Ini 1155, 1089, 35, 20, 40, 70. Cuba check lagi.
2409. Betul tak?
Sama kan?
Sama.
Okay. Cuba check balik. Saya pun dah double count ni.
Okay, saya tertambah teks.
Alright, tak apa. So, I repeat balik for net cash flow, simply take total cash receipts minus total cash disbursement for respective months. Then we get like this lah, 807, 971 dengan 1386. So this is all positive. It means, from here you also can see so every month dia ada excess of cash respectively, this much. Okay. So if you remember tadi dalam yang kat sini once you have net cash flow, next kita kena add dengan beginning cash balance. Right. So beginning cash balance ni soalan akan bagi Okay, soalan will provide you with this beginning cash balance. So for this question, beginning balance is 80,000. So I'm going to put beginning balance. Okay, and I'm going to put plus sign di sini sebab kita kena add So kalau kita ada negative figures for net cash flow, so if you add, then our ending will be less sebab kita kena cover the deficit dekat atas ni. But anyway, since all are positive values, so our ending later on will have a bigger values than the beginning. So the beginning balance for this question is 80,000. 80,000. Okay, so for the first month sahaja beginning balance diberi. Okay, question will give you just for the first month. So what happened to the next month? Based on our own calculations. Okay, so how? So net cash flow plus beginning, as I said, it will be the ending balance. Okay, ending balance. So maknanya kat sini 807 plus 80,000 is going to be 887. Okay, sebab kita add net cash flow plus beginning. So at the end of the month, okay, this company will have 887. So 80 from previous month. And for that particular month, dia ada excess 807. So bila dia combine these two, we have 887. And this 887, bila dia ending, dia akan jadi beginning for the next month. Okay, so similarly jugalah, soalan boleh bagi beginning balance macam ni. Ataupun soalan boleh kata, the ending balance from previous month is 80,000. So kalau ending last month 80,000, for April bermaksud dia akan jadi 80,000 lah. So kalau dia ending 887 in April, it will be 887 in May. So 887 ni kita akan carry forward je from the ending previous month. Okay, so 887 together dengan 971 kita campur lagi. 87 plus 971. So we have 1858 kat sini. Okay, follow the format yang sama 971 plus 887, we have 1858. And this 1858 will be carry forward next month juga. Okay, plus 1386. We have a massive 3.244 million sebenarnya. Okay, so we just carry forward je values from the ending to the next beginning. Okay, but don't forget we have a minimum balance to be maintained at all times, which is 20,000. So what does it mean? For the minimum balance, we have to minus. So how much? 20,000 every month ataupun at all times. Okay, so then we're gonna find whether they have surplus or ni deficit ni letak dalam bracket lah, deficit. So for number 3, for step number 3 cash reconciliation, we're gonna have 5 items. Okay, net cash flow, beginning balance, ending balance, minimum balance, and finally to see whether the company has surplus or deficit after deducting the minimum balance requirement. So kat sini you can see lah, 887 minus 20 is 867. 1858, it will be 1838. And here it will be 3224. Okay, and this will be our final answer. Okay, and this part. Surplus deficit. Okay, so soalan tak suruh komen apa-apa So you just need to prepare all of this to get the 20 marks. So nampak something like this From top to bottom So first cash receipts, cash disbursement, and then the reconciliation part consists of 5 items: net cash flow, the beginning balance, the ending balance, minimum balance, and lastly surplus deficit. So everything is positive, right? So meaning they have surplus every month. Okay, but technically, if you remember, the purpose of cash budget tadi is to plan whether to invest ataupun to borrow. So dalam case ni dia ada surplus so therefore we can recommend sebenarnya for the company to invest their excess of cash ni somewhere else, because cash, as you all know, is a non-earning assets yang tak akan bagi returns if you don't invest. So therefore, if you can see here, besar value ni ni 867,000. Okay, this 1.8 million, 2.2 million. Ni 3 betulnya, sorry. Okay, 3.2 million. So therefore, we can suggest for this company to invest, if not all, partial of this cash somewhere else. But again, this is all forecasted values. Okay, forecasted values. So if we can forecast early, then we can predict lah, ataupun we can prepare ourselves for the company to invest parts of the cash somewhere in the future. So dia boleh determine lah kat mana dia nak invest, short term basis ke, long term basis ke, based on the situation. Alright, so that's cash budget. Boleh ke?
Sir,
Ya.
apa maksud surplus tu sebenarnya, sir?
Surplus, excess.
Excess
Cash.
cash lah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Cash surplus. Dalam ni both surplus and deficit melibatkan cash sebab kita buat cash budget kan. So bermaksud dia ada surplus of cash. Cash yang terlebih. Banyak ni, 867,000 for this question lah. So it's again case basis. Sometimes dia boleh jadi deficit juga. Tengok soalan lah. So deficit, macam mana dapat deficit? If we have a minus ataupun selalunya letak in bracket lah. Your ending minus minimum balance tu menyebabkan you dapat minus contohnya. Alright, so then you have a deficit. Okay, ada soalan lain?
Saya nak tanya,
Ya.
sebelum ni benar ke kalau macam dalam soalan macam ni kan dia ada masukkan credit transaction ke?
Credit transaction for
Dalam untuk
sales. Untuk sales
soalan-soalan macam ni lah.
Yelah credit apa tu? Maksudnya credit sales.
Purchase ke?
Boleh.
Credit
Ni semua credit sebenarnya they don't use the word credit, but technically this payment sebab dia bayar credit kan, dia tak bayar cash ni. So these are credits. Contohnya payment ni lah for the purchases. And untuk number one ni pun, on cash je hanyalah 20%, but the rest are credits. Okay, 50% 1 month later, 30% 2 months later. So these two are credits.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, possible je. Cuma sometimes dia tak use the word credit kat situ lah. Okay, so recap this cash budget and together with the earlier one yang kita buat revisit tadi the Proforma tu will be part of your first test. Okay. Next week pula lah. Next meeting kita bila? Check sekejap Our meeting will be on the 30th. 30th tu do you have any other class tak 30th tu? Sebab ikut dalam jadual ni 30th of May itu hanya ada untuk kuliah yang 7 seminar je kan?
Tak ada.
So you ada kelas ni je kan? So petang tak ada kelas lah kan?
Tak ada sir.
Tengah hari tak ada kelas kan? So what I'll do, I'll give a take home, I panggil dia take home lah, take home test. So maknanya in the morning 8:30, 10:30 tu we have a normal class. Okay, tapi after that I will give you question lah dalam your future tu for you to prepare and then submit. Sampai timeline ni lah, I bagilah katakanlah 2-3 hours macam tu. Then we're gonna do it on the 30th of May. Okay, cover topik ni je.
Okay, boleh.
Okay. So remember nanti I akan remind balik lah dalam your future punya I discuss tu. When, the timing and also the topics covered. Okay. But for now, ingat lah 30th, which is bila tu? 3 weeks from now, is it? Kan 3 weeks kan, sebab next week dia kira ada yelah hari raya pun kan next week. So 2 weeks after that lah. Which is 3 weeks from now. 21 days lagi. 30th of May.
Sir, nak tanya.
Ya.
Yang 30th tu nanti kira test lah kan?
No, in the morning 8:30, 10:30 tu kita buat kelas macam biasa. I'm gonna give the question tu lepas kelas tu. So you buat, sebab I tanya tadi you tak ada kelas kan, so I don't want to sacrifice my time untuk, sebab kalau tak ni tak cukup masa kan. So maknanya masa kelas kita akan continue dengan topik ni 4 topik 5, topik 6 kot. Cuma test tu kita buat selepas tu lah.
Test tu berapa persen Dia punya ni
We talk about percent you you want to know the percent. Okay, that's 1 to 15 marks.
Okay, thank you.
Right. All right, so if there's no other questions, I think that's about it for today. All right, thank you very much for your time. So again, as I said tadi, you boleh tengok video ni for the question yang kita buat tadi. And insyaAllah for the next group, I will try to use another set of questions so that you can tengoklah, check out the question, macam mana kita try to solve that question juga. Maybe beneficial for you lah untuk the test on the 30th nanti. Okay, so thank you very much, and I would like to take the opportunity untuk ni juga lah. I wish you selamat Hari Raya juga in advance. So kita jumpa nanti on the 30th. Right, so thank you very much and Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Selamat Raya, sir.
Yeah, thanks. You too.
Thank you, sir.
Right.